Probably there's no more useful tool for creating a kiosk um, presentation than the ability to actually rehearse the slide timings. Um, if you try to do all of this manually, you can make yourself quite nuts. Now, you may rehearse slide timings and have to go back and say, well, I want something to happen sort of, I want it to start exactly with the previous, and we'll do a little of that. But know that basically slide timings are an incredibly great tool to work with. I access them by simply going to the slideshow tab and clicking on rehearse timings. When I do this, I'm going to get a little clock that's going to, part of the clock will track the full time of the show. In other words, how long the show has been or is running to this point. And the other one is simply tracking how long a particular slide is up. So we'll take a look at that when I start this. I'm going to go a couple of slides. I've added a couple of animations to this thing. Then we're going to go back and make a change to an animation just so you can see sort of how you can use the two parts and pieces together. Remember that initially everything is set on click, so transitions and animations are set to change on click. And so this is one of those things. It's like creating a good play of some kind. It takes a lot of rehearsal. Uh, Practice, practice, practice is very important, and also just knowing the material on your slides, knowing what your animations are, how you set them to run, how long you plan or your speaker plans to take a look at a particular piece of information is very important, so you'll know when to advance or activate an event, advance a slide or initiate an event of some kind. So let's just take a look real quick. Started the show. The show is currently just waiting for a click to make an animation happen. I'm going to hit that. Started the animation. I'm going to say, okay, so what am I looking for? Well, I've introduced my show. I've probably just added the equivalency, say, of a byline to the show. It's up. I'm moving on. These are just our show. We're not rehearsing animations right now. We're just looking what would happen if I clicked through this show. And so I have, obviously some animations set just to happen. I have to talk my way through it, etc. Let me escape out of that. And let's go rehearse our timings this time and watch what happens. Here's my clock. Right now, this is tracking the slide. This will be the current slide. This is tracking the total show. I'm going to say this has been up. Let me escape out. Let's just restart it. Rehearse timings. That's up. I figure people have had enough time to read that. I'm going to bring in my subtitle, my byline, whatever that might be. I'm saying fine. I'm moving on. Understanding multimedia. Hit a click. On comes types of multimedia. On comes sound. On comes this MP3, WAV, AIF, MIDI, etc. Movies. File types for movies come on. Animated GIFs. Available via the clip art, yada yada yada, and I move on. Now I'm going to go ahead and hit escape. Right now I can tell that my slideshow is about 45 seconds long. If I want to keep the timings, I click yes. If I don't, I click no. I simply go back and have another chance to rehearse again. You'll know when they feel pretty well. Even if you've accepted them, you can always come back and re-rehearse your timings. Now, one of the things that I noticed is that on this slide, I have sound come on at one level, and then this is coming on at another level. So, in short, I've set this event to happen after this event, not at the same time as this event. And maybe I'd like to make a change there so that this text here automatically starts at the same time this text does. That's hard to do using manually clicking because the computer has to respond. And so they don't both really start together. One starts, and then even if I'm pretty quick on my finger, the other one starts. But because they're separate events, um, if I click, the signal is, when I'm clicking to initiate this event, what I'm also telling the computer is this one's over. And so if sound happened to be, say, coming on from the right side here, and I click about here to start this event, then it says this is over, so the sound has to shoot over here to be done. Does that make sense? So what I'm going to do is set this to start with this. That's a simple um, change in my animation. I'm going to click down here. So this is this. First of all, this of course is this entire event. This types of this line. This I'm going to have set to start with the previous. And I'm going to do the same thing on this piece, this thing called Timing.avi. I'm going to have it start with previous, and then this event I'm going to have start with previous as well. Okay? And now I'm going to go back and I'm going to do my rehearse my timings. Yada yada yada. Waiting for my byline. Yada yada yada. Plenty of time. Moving on. Oops. Big change. Now everything's happening at the same time. Let's go see what happened. This is the thing of playing with events, playing with once you start these events, how do they actually run? So I'm going to ask, see how this is currently set to start with previous? This is this entire event now starting with understanding multimedia. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking to have that start on click. When I come down here, I need to have this start on click. I need to have this start on click, but I need to have this start with previous. Now you can go back and check to see if you've got this still on click. I still want that on click. You can see how it keeps wanting to mess with you. So let's just see what happens. Start with previous. I'm going to start with that. Go there. Go there. There's my first option. There comes my types of multimedia. There come my two pieces together. Movies, AVI. I didn't set that, remember? Just and that. So I would need to go back and again set this one to start with previous and set this one to start with previous. I can rehearse my timings one more time. You can see I can keep going back to rehearse my timings without having a problem. And I'm out of here. So controlling your your elements become really critical when you go to Kiosk. You can't bring them on too fast. You can't bring them on and then have them shoot right back off. Keep in mind, people have to have time. We talked about this early on, that people have to have time to absorb your information. These things have got to stay up there long enough for people to read and have a little time to think about, but not so much time as to bore them stiff either. They can't stand around waiting for the next slide once they're done. But not all people read at the same speed. Not all people comprehend at the same speed. So it's a trick, a balancing act, if you would. Also remember that the more you rehearse your timings, the faster you're going to read your stuff. And so you need to take that into consideration because you'll be sitting there bored stiff thinking that, oh gosh, already know what's coming, so you're almost not reading it anymore. So try to keep your head in the place that says, but I'm reading this for the first time. I really haven't totally memorized this stuff yet. And that'll help with your timings. Good luck, and I'll talk at you later. Remember that I am available in my office, and if you check my office hours, you can get a hold of me if you have questions on any of this stuff. Thanks for listening.